Continuing on in InDesign, let's take a look at some type or text and how to make a character style. Back to InDesign, our document that we've been working on. We left off with a couple minions here on a page. I'm going to open my Pages palette and I'm going to go back to page 1 where we placed this image. And I want to add an attribution here or some text. Okay? In InDesign, you have to use text boxes. You can't just click with the type tool on your page and do a straight insertion as you can in Illustrator. So how this works, I'm going to grab my type tool. It's the giant capital T, as in pretty much any program that deals with text. When I get back over my artboard, you can see I have a pointer and an insertion point. And what I'm going to do is drag out a text box, and it's just like drawing a rectangle. I'm going to go to where I want the upper left-hand corner to start. I'm going to click and hold. You can see my pointer turns into a set of crosshairs. And as I drag, I can see the outline of the text box it's going to create for me. When I let go, I can see my cursor flashing in the upper left-hand corner of my box. Alright, the text that I'm going to put in here is screenplay by, and then I'm going to hit enter for a line return. The gentleman's name is Cinco Paul, and Ken Dorio. I'm going to hit return for another line return, and this is based on a story by return Sergio Pablos. Alright, good man, Sergio. Nice movie. Okay. So you can see I'm done typing, my cursor's still flashing. To get out of this text box, you go back to your selection tool, the black arrow. And you can see that selects my text box for me. I'm going to open my character palette, and I'm going to typeset this as I would like it set. I think for all of you on a PC, surprise, surprise, I'm actually going to use Arial just because I know you have it. Okay, this is going to be Arial Italic. I'm going to set this up when I make the style as my captions. So I have Arial Italic. Here in the upper left drop down, I can address the size. I want my captions a little small, so I'm going to make them 9 points. And I'm going to open up the leading just one click to 11. Alright, so I have this set. Now what I'm going to do is open up my character styles palette. Notice I still have the text box selected on my page, right? Character styles, how these work. Right now I have none, and what I have selected on the artboard is something that is not styled, which is why this is highlighted blue. What I'm going to do is click on the new style icon, looks like the new layer icon in Photoshop or Illustrator. It's going to drop this default character style 1 layer in here. I'm going to activate it. You can see it's blue. And then I'm going to double click, and that's going to bring out my character style options dialog box. First thing I'm going to do is ensure that I have preview checked so that as I'm making changes, I can see them take effect in my text box. Text and formatting text, unlike programs like Word, when you have a text box selected, any changes you make in the character palette to size or font, or if you change the styles, it will apply to the entire text box. Generally, you don't want to split things up within a box where you're highlighting one or two words and changing the style of those words. If you're going to do that, what you want to be using are paragraph styles, and I will cover that in a later video. Paragraph styles are useful when you're doing long documents of a report type nature. Okay? For right now, we're going to concentrate on this. Again, I said this is going to be my caption style, so my style name is going to be caption. Right now, it's based on none because I don't have anything else set. You want to base your styles on one another, because what will happen is then if you go back and to the original for how they're all based on and change something like the font, it will change the font family, not the weight, size, all the other settings, but the family in all of the other styles that it's based on. So it's a quick way to try out different typesetting within your document. Okay, so I have my name, caption. It's based on none because I only have one style right now. I have preview checked. I'm going to click on my basic character formats. If I decided at this point that I wanted this to be regular or bold, I could do that. I do want it to be italic, and maybe I actually want it to be 8.65. And do not hit enter like I just did. Okay, I'm going to go back to this basic character formats. So maybe I want this to be 8.65, and I want to tighten up the leading a little bit. So I'm going to make it 10, right? Make sure that you activate this ligatures here. That's an advanced type feature. And then the other thing that I want to look at is the character color. So this will be the color of my type. First thing I'm going to do is activate the stroke and click on the red strike through for none. I'm going to go back to my fill color. I'm going to scroll down here within these colors, and you can see my palette that I pasted in here is down here at the bottom of my swatches. And perhaps I want this to be the dark orange that I've specified. I'm also going to click on this tint drop down and put in 100%. I like to have everything filled in so it feels completed. And I'm checking my preview over here. This looks good the way I want it, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Alright, and you can see in my character styles palette, now I have created this caption style. What I'm going to do with this still selected is hover over the bottom right hand corner of this text box. I get the flat double-headed arrow. I'm going to double click and resize this. And you can see what it did. It split up Ken's name here onto two lines. So I'm just going to pull this back to the right until I see Ken's name stay together, first and last. And then I'm going to go to the middle bottom flat double-headed arrow, double click, and then right hand side middle arrow, double click. Sometimes you have to cheat these text boxes a little bit because InDesign likes to try and decide how your line should be split, and I prefer to tell InDesign how I would like my lines to be split. For the sake of example, let's do this. Let's put a title onto this page. So I just copied that text box by holding Alt and dragging a copy up above my image. I'm going to double click into my text box so that I get my cursor. I can drag up to the start to select everything, or if I click 3 times, it'll select everything for me. Alright, let's call this Minions Demo as a title. I'm going to go back to my selection tool so that I have just the text box selected. And I'm going to format this directly through the character styles palette. So right now that's set to my caption. I want to create a new style by clicking on the new Create New Style icon at the bottom of the palette. Again, by default, it's going to drop in a style called Character Style 1. I'm going to double click on that style, again noting that this text box that's now going to be my title is still selected. So this can be title or headline, either way. And notice, by default, it's based on caption. And I want that because when I click on my basic character formats, I now have my setting from my caption, and I can change that to what I want to use now for it to be appropriate. I'm just going to bring this up until it pretty much, actually I want it to be as wide as kind of the title type underneath it, so 31 is good. I'm not going to change the leading. And the reason for that is because you will never have a title that takes up 2 lines. If you do, it's too long. Break it into a title and a subtitle, or a headline and a subhead. All right. Now I want to change my character color. Maybe this is this lighter orange, or yeah, let's stick with the lighter orange. That's fine. Okay, the rest of it I don't need to change. I can visually see that everything over here is pretty good. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to let InDesign resize this text box for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this on my margin, but I'm going to go ahead and center it with my image. And then I'm going to select my caption down below and hold Shift to add to my selection, select my title up top. I'm going to go to my alignment tools up here in the main taskbar. I'm going to check my align to. It's set to align to selection. And what I want to do is have my title and my caption be left aligned but still centered to this image. So what I'm going to do is a little trick. First, I'm going to align them to the right, to their right hand edges by just clicking, and then I'm going to align their left hand edges. And now you can see what that did was pretty much align everything up to the left hand edge of all of the type, including the type in the image and my caption. Okay, now I can add to my selection, and I'm going to say that I want this here. And now if we take a look at our page, this is what we have. One thing I want to do is, this is a page that I do not want a page number on. However, I cannot select or get rid of that page number as it stands right now because it lives on my master page, and by default master page items are locked. If I open up my Pages palette, go to the drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner. Dead center is Override All Master Page Items. When I click on that, it unlocks my master page items. Now you can see, instead of this having a dashed bounding box, it has a solid color blue bounding box. I also can select it, and I also can delete it. That still leaves the page numbers on all of the other pages, as you can see, and they are still locked. I only unlocked the master page items on this page right here, page 1, that I had selected. That allowed me to get rid of my page numbers. And if I hit W for a preview, this is what my page looks like. Okay, now the way these styles work, 2 last things, and then we will move on. I'm going to draw another text box. Inside that, I'm just going to type a little text here. A fun book by Minion 003. Right? By default, if I look at my character palette, you can see, for me, since I'm on a Mac, that drops in as Minion Pro regular 12-point with 14.4 leading. If I open my character styles, I can click on caption and it will format to my caption settings. I can click on headline and it will format to my headline setting. Now, it's all jumbled up because of the way I have the leading set, because that's too many lines. But if I pull the box out to where it's one line, and then move this down so we can see it, you can see that it formatted to my headline style. Text boxes, if they are too small to display everything that's inside of them, will display this red square with the red plus sign in it, and that means there's more information inside of that text box or frame than can be displayed. So you just adjust by readjusting the size of the frame. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that, and I'm going to zoom out to my page level. I'm going to go ahead and hit W for preview so you can watch the changes happen on this as I do it. So what I'm going to do is go back into my caption style. So double click on caption, nothing selected on the artboard. And then I'm going to look at my character style options. If I click into my basic character formats and I change the font family to something else, and I'm going to use Garamond because that'll be a nice contrast to Arial just for the visual of it. So if I click on Garamond and then hit OK, you'll notice it changed my headline to Garamond, still with the same bold and size settings, and it changed my caption to Garamond, but still regular italic with the same size and settings. So, like I said, make sure you're using that based on, and then if you want to try out some different type options, that becomes very quick and easy for you.